Welcome class back to Project 2 Data Visualization. This video is the fourth video, the section, the CSV file format, pages 334 through 346. So in this section, we're going to look at how we can download data sets from online sources and create working visualizations of that data. You can find an incredible variety of data online, much of which hasn't been examined thoroughly. The ability to analyze this data allows you to discover patterns and connections that no one else has found. So we're first going to look at the format, the data format CSV, and then in the next video we'll be looking at JSON. So we'll use Python's CSV module to process some weather data and analyze high and low temperatures over time in two different locations. We'll then use matplotlib to generate a chart based on our download data to display variations in temperature in two dissimilar environments. So we're going to look at Sitka, Alaska and Death Valley, California. So let's begin first at looking at CSV. CSV stands for comma separated values. Okay, CSV files can be tricky for us humans to read, but they're easy for programs to process and extract values from, which speeds up the data analysis process. So most software you'll find is you can export data into a CSV file format. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make a data folder inside of our chapter folder. So for this chapter, I'm calling it chapter 4 because this is the fourth video. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder and I'm going to call it data. Okay, within data, we are going to download, and I'm actually going to send these to you through an email attachment. So there'll be no need to download those. And it'll be 3 separate CSV files that I'll be sending you. The 3 separate files I'll be sending you are the Death Valley 2018 _ simple, the Sitka weather 07/2018, and also the Sitka weather 2018 simple. So let's begin by creating our first Python file that will go ahead and read the 07-2018 simple file. So we're going to create a new file and we're going to save this as Sitka highs. Okay, the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to import the CSV module, and we're going to specify a file name in the path starting with our data folder. And then we're going to do a with statement, and with statements we'll get into in chapter 10. It's one of the last things that we'll cover. So this will look all familiar once we hit that chapter. Okay, so that is our first version of Sitka highs. Okay, so after we import this CSV module, we assign the name of the file we're working with to file name. Okay, so that is like a handler that we'll be using. And then we use the open method to open that file name, and we refer to it as F from there on. Okay, so the line that reads the reader, okay, so CSV reader, what that does is it passes the file object as an argument to create a reader object associated with that file. Okay, and the next function returns the next line in the file when passed the reader object. We call next only once, so we only get just the first line because we're just trying to get the headers out of the file. The information that we get from that is stored in header row, and then in line 7 we're printing out that information. Okay, so here is the header information from our Sitka Weather 07-2018 simple file. Okay, we have another version on page 335 where we simply do a for statement. So we can take this printout and we're going to add in a for. Okay, so we're just finding out the index number that's associated with each column header. Okay, and so now we just got a vertical alignment of them. Okay, so just another version. We're not going to actually keep this portion, but we're going to go ahead and continue on to the next section. So the next section talks about extracting and reading the data. And so here we're just going to go ahead and modify. Just a reminder that the gray code is code that already exists. Okay, and it's just used as a reference of where to insert the new code. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we are going to remove this for statement. We're going to get some high temperatures from this file. So we've got our highs. Okay, so we're creating an empty list. And for row in header row, or in reader, sorry, in referring to the entire file, we're going to get the high. Okay, so we're getting row 5. Okay, so that would be the 6th element. And we're going to append that to our empty list of highs. Okay, so if we come down here, we've got station, name, date, precipitation, average, max. That's the high we're going for. So that's why that is index 5. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and print our list out here when we're done. Okay, so those are the highs that come back from our data file. Okay, so we've extracted the data, we've read the data, and now we're going to actually go ahead and plot it on a temperature chart. Okay, I'm actually going to pull the code in so that I don't waste your time watching this video by me typing. Okay, so we're just going to first, I'll actually do this first and then I'll go ahead and grab the code. So import, we're bringing in the matplotlib library like we've done before. And we're going to use the pyplot and we're going to reference it as PLT. Okay, so here's our additional code from page 337. Let's go ahead and give this a run. Looks like I have an error here on the AX plot. Oh, I've got an extra argument in there. So just highs. Okay, and there we are plotted. Okay, and we're using the red color because that's what's specified in the AX.plot. We say C:(red). And so if we look at the data that we can see at the bottom here, we've got 62, then we're dropping all the way down to 58. We come up to 70, we do 70 twice, it's down to 67, and so on through our graph. Okay, so on through the plot there. Okay, well now we're going to add in the date time module. So the first date from the weather data file is in the second row of the file. Okay. The data will be read in as a string and we need a way to convert it. Okay, so we're going to use this method, and this method is date time so that we can get it in a format that we want to get it in for our program. Okay, so first we're going to practice with it at the terminal. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the terminal, get into my Python prompt, and then we're going to say from date time import date time. So we're bringing in that module. Okay, first underscore date is equal to date time dot strip time, and then this is probably the hardest stuff to type, right? 2018 then we're going to bring it into this format. So %y dash %m dash %d. Oh, I forgot. I don't have to do that line again. I forgot my parenthesis there. What did I type wrong? First date equal date time dot strp time 2018-0701 comma %x. I'm going to give it another run. Okay, so it did work. It was just that I did it wrong the first time. So print first date. Okay, so that's the format that we will get back with that. So year, month, and day. The %y with the capital Y, and this table is on page 338, table 16-1. So %y says 4-digit year. Okay, and then you have the lowercase m. Okay, that's your month from 01 to 12. And then the %d is the day of the month, as in the number 01 to 31. Okay, and so that's what we're getting with that particular module, date, time. Okay, we're going to go ahead and import that into our Sitka highs now. So this was just a little practice. I'm going to go Control Z to get out of here and then exit out of my prompt. I'm going to go ahead and close this graph. I'm going to come up here and we're going to go ahead and import that module that we just worked with. So the date time one. I hope I got to do a from. Okay, there we go. Okay, and then the next will just come into our width area. Okay, after our header row here, we're going to go ahead and modify code. So get high temperatures, so get dates. So sometimes, again, just a reminder that when you see the black code in the book, it's not always just brand new code. It could be just modifications. And that's exactly the case here. So we want dates and highs, and we got 2 empty lists. Okay, for row and reader. Okay, and then we want to, after we get the high, we want to append something to the empty list of dates. So we're going to append our current date, which, current date. Okay, which I need to put in here as well. Okay, so before the current date equal date time, p time, and then we'll continue on. We're going to just update the plotting to now include the dates. Okay, and then we got a little label in between here. Fig, auto format, and we've got auto format X date. So on the X axis. Let's go ahead and run it. I'm getting lots of errors. Oh, did I type something wrong here? What is this saying here? Okay, so the error is, we got to have that capital Y on the year. Okay, and now you'll notice the dates down at the bottom. Okay, so corresponding to those daily high temperatures. Okay, we're going to plot a larger time frame. So that is on page 340. So we're going to change our file that we're reading in our data to just to be the 2018. So we're going to take the July away. Okay, and we're just going to go ahead and update the title area here to be 2018 instead of just July. Okay, and then we can just run it again. And now we just have more data. Okay, so just more data through this. You can see that there's more numbers down here at the bottom as well. Okay, that is your Sitka highs. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do Sitka highs and lows. So I'm going to go ahead and save this file as Sitka highs, lows. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and modify. Okay, so again, looking at the black code, we're just going to go ahead and modify. So now we're just going to add in another list called lows, and it is empty. And then after high, we'll have a low. This is on row 6. Okay, and lows append. Okay, and then we just need to go ahead and plot. Okay, so we've got dates, and now we're going to do lows. Okay, and then daily high and low temperatures. Okay, so let's go ahead and run that. Okay. Oh, you know what? I did that totally wrong. Okay, let me go ahead and change this. Oh, what am I doing here? Undo. Okay, X label, Y label, okay. And then this one stays as highs. I need to include a new line. Lows, and the color is going to be blue for this one. That's going to look better. Okay, so now we have our highs in red and our lows in blue. Okay, we're going to go ahead and shade an area in that chart. Okay, we're going to add a little alpha, which means transparency. So alpha is going to be at 50% for both of these. Okay, so just making the lines a little lighter in color. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to fill in between them. So we're going to use a function called fill between dates, highs, lows, and the face color is blue, and the alpha is going to be 10%. Okay, we'll go ahead and run. Oh, what did I type wrong this time, huh? See, you guys get to see that I have errors. Oh, I forgot a comma. Okay, and now we've got it shaded in between with that face color of blue at about 10%. Okay, so that's why it's kind of coming in and looking really light in color. Okay, that is your Sitka high lows. Let's go ahead and come over to Death Valley high lows. Okay, so we've got a new file that we're going to be creating. Okay, so the first version we code is just like the first version we started off when we were working with Sitka highs. So we're just basically opening the file. We're going to go ahead and use the reader and the next. So we're just getting the header information, printing that out so that we can see what we're dealing with as far as like columns in our file. So in this case, we're going to be working with, let's see, Sitka highs and lows. So looks like we're going to be working with indexes 4 and 5. Okay, so let's go ahead and modify this, and it's going to look much like what we came out with our last file. Okay, so upon running the file, we run into a traceback error. And the reason is that in this particular file, this Death Valley 2018 simple, we have some empty data. Okay, so the solution to that is to do this try except else that is on the middle of page 344. And this is something that is in one of our chapters. I can't remember if it's I think it's actually chapter 7 or 8 with the try, except, and the else. You know what, actually? It might be in chapter 10, okay? Yeah, anyway. So let's go ahead and add in that try, except, else, so that we can go ahead and take care of this traceback error. So once I put that in there, I'm going to go ahead and explain it a little bit. Okay, so here is the try. So what happens is we try. Okay, we go ahead and we try to bring in the row of index 5 and the row of index 6 and store them in there. If we get a value error, like this down here, and a value error, we're going to type out missing data for a current date. Okay, else we're going to go ahead and do what happens when the try is successful. So let's go ahead and run this. Okay, and here we are with our data, okay, in our plot. I want to make sure that I have, yep, daily high and low temperatures. Yep, looks good. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this section. So what I need you to go ahead and hand in for this is I need you to send me the date, not the data, but the Death Valley lows and the Sitka highs and the Sitka high lows files, along with all of the graphs that happened along the way. Okay, so all of the plotting that we were doing. So I should receive from you, let's see here, starting, we've got one chart from page 337, then 339, 340, 41, and then 42 and 45. Now the last section, last pages in this section, pages 345 and 346, they have you go out to a weather site, and that weather site is ncdc.noaa.gov, and they have you download your own data file. You're welcome to do this step. I'm not requiring it, however, but there's multiple places that you can get your data from. It's a nice step-through process to see that how you could bring in a CSV file, but again, it's not required that you do that for this section. So if you run into any things that you can't figure out, as always, just please contact me. Thank you.